Hey guys, it's Kazaris back with a different kind of video. So with the Meta Championship series coming up, I just kind of wanted to introduce like a little topic of discussion for you guys. So I have the entire outline of my thought process going on here. I'm going to try to not say what I want to play, just kind of just present my ideas. So I'm going to keep it somewhat vague, but I really think the legendary decks really introduce a cool element to the entire tournament. So for those who don't know, this MCS 10 is Worlds format. Can't believe there have been 10 of these already. That's crazy. So Worlds format is 2 standard decks and 1 legendary deck. So standard decks, it's a pretty simple concept. It's just the regular meta deck that you would play in any tournament that you're trying to win. So you have your For Hires, Masked Heroes, Amazonas, etc. And then your legendary deck is a character-specific deck that Konami has outlined for you. So, for example, if you're playing Yugi, you have to play Dark Magician, and then that's a required card, and then Konami gives you options to play as well, so that are also character-specific. So, like Slifer is another character-specific Yugi card, and then a bunch of Dark Magician support and stuff like that. So I'll get into all the required and optional cards for each character that I'm considering once I get further into the video. But legendary decks, like I said, they must meet the requirement. And for all of your 3 decks, you must be using different skills and different characters. So, for example, if you play Beatdown Kaiba, for hire, you cannot play Beatdown, you cannot play Kaiba on any other deck. So, like Blue Eyes legendary deck would be out of the question there. And you can only have 3 copies of a card across all 3 decks. So if one deck plays 1 Treacherous, and another deck plays 2 Treacherous, and your third deck can't have any Treacherous. So stuff like that. And if it's semi-limited, and you're playing 2 Econ on one deck, you can't play any Econ in your other decks. Pretty simple concept. However, when you're applying it to, when you're trying to organize or think about what decks you're going to play, it makes it a little bit difficult because you have to cut things that you would normally want to play. So decks that, like if you play 2 decks that make really good use of Econ, then you're going to have to make a tough choice or just play a different deck. So for starters here, For Hire, very simple build. People are iffy on the Mayhems. These could be something else, but I like it. Standard play is like beat into Dampa into Wiz, gain 1,000, Dampa pop the beat, and then you set the Mayhem so that you have a Dampa pop on your opponent's turn. I've always liked that play. You could argue 1 Mayhem and 3 Trunade. I just find Trunade a bit brickier. Like I'd rather top deck Mayhem than Trunade in a good bit of situations. So yeah, so pretty standard build, beatdown. Moving on, we have Masked Heroes here. So I was debating playing For Hire and Masked Heroes. However, you can't play 2 Tretch in both, so I figured Masked Heroes benefit more from the Tretches than For Hire does. For Hire are strong enough on their own. And you can't play Trunade in this build if I'm playing... Well, you could play 1 Trunade, but I'd rather just have the Cyclones because Amazonas is a rough matchup for this deck. So Cyclone really helps there in that aspect. So then you have the 3 Chalice. Everything else is pretty standard. You could argue against the Dreamer. However, I like it for dangerous plays and Vion plays. I just like the Dreamer. It's a brick in quotes, but you can still use it with Mass Change. I mean, it's not optimal to draw, but I really enjoy having that 1 Dreamer. Can be pretty crucial in some simplified game states. And then Batterymen. So this is the last deck I was considering. This is somewhat standard. The Snipe Hunter's a little out there, but I enjoy the Snipe Hunter. It's really cool. So like if you open Snipe double or 2 Batterymen and an Industrial, you can summon, and you're going second, you have another card, you can summon Snipe. I guess it baits Canadia and Chalice and stuff like that, but so does Solar in that case. Like if you don't have any back row, then you're screwed either way, but like summon Solar with no back row is pretty bad play. So I'd rather just like have summon Snipe Hunter, attempt to pop 2 back row or 2 cards on the field, and then summon Industrial and go for a push. And then 15 and 26 is game. Oh, I forgot to mention here. Since I would probably play Beatdown with For Hire, this would probably have to be Ties That Bind, which is fine because Ties That Bind allows Anki to clear Wiz, which is really the only main issue that you have in the deck. That's really why you play Beatdown. I guess Malicious triggers Beatdown as well, which is kind of cool, but For Hire is definitely the superior deck to play Beatdown on, so I'd rather make the change in this deck for the main situation where you need Anki to clear Wiz, and you can play Ties of Bind. And then here, same thing. I like Beatdown, however, Mythic Deaths works or substitutes just as well. You can have, like, if your opponent doesn't have any back row, like a for hire player doesn't have any back row and you need to clear Wiz, you can just pop the field spell and then pop the Wiz. Also, these econs might have to be something else if I played this end for hire. If I played this in Heroes, it's fine, but I'd rather play the tier 0 deck and then something else on top of that. So I'd probably make the switch here because econ for hire is too good, especially in the mirror match. So yeah, this would probably be Chalice. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, Sphere Creep is really nice too. Just lay around the Trinade. You could argue against the Rebirth. I like it just for the double solar plays. Really start thinning your deck and fueling the grave. I mean, you could also argue Cyclones here because this deck is a somewhat tough Amazonas matchup. If you can't get out Industrial really quick, they'll just keep banishing your batteries, and you can't get out Industrial at all. So moving on. So that was the standard decks I was considering. I don't like Amazonas that much, and in spellbooks I don't really see them as strong enough to contend. Yeah, it's really just what deck does the best against for hire. So for hires, and then what deck does the best against for hire. So yeah, so these are my legendary decks that I'm considering. There are more outside of this. I'm not saying mine are better than others. I'm just saying these have really solid potential. And in the stream that Decade had, where people were playing legendary decks on stream, some of these were doing really well. So Jinzo Psychics. So this is on Esparoba, obviously. My thought process is traps are going to be really prevalent in this meta, in the legendary deck meta. Stuff like Amazonas, like Odian Amazonas, I expect to be really popular. So having access to Jinzo is really strong, especially with Psychic Shockwave. Like if they just activate a trap, you can just turbo out or bring out a Jinzo from deck. So the required cards here for Esparoba are Jinzo and Amplifier, and then you have the choice between two of one of these four. So I'm choosing the Fiend Mega Cyber and Psychic Shockwave because the other two are just very lackluster. Like that's like one of the things about legendary decks. Like some people, you have the option to just play meta decks and then just add the bricks in the required and optional cards, and then just try to play a shittier version of the meta deck. But I'd rather just stick to just try and stay true to the nature of the legendary format. So yeah, so pretty standard Psychic lineup. I don't know. Serene's definitely the best one. You might want access to Destructotron, but I think you're fine without it. And then 2 Borg is good. And then I like the 1 Wizard and the 1 Injector just for options. And then since I'm playing Jinzo, I'd rather have powerful spells here. These econs will probably have to be something else, like Chalices or something maybe, since I'm playing econs in one of my meta decks for sure. Super Rush here I like because this deck could have a tough Amazonas matchup if you can't get out Jinzo fast enough. I don't see why you wouldn't though, because you're playing the Psychic Onslaught skill there. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this, but legendary decks, you have to use a character-specific skill as well. So like Psychic Onslaught or Psychic Vision works here. You can't use generic stuff like Balance Restart or any of the draw senses or stuff like that. So like skills that are character-specific you have to use. So Joey here, Slash Dragon. I don't think the builds on stream were playing the Gaia. I couldn't remember them, and I couldn't find the pin list anywhere, so I just kind of added what I thought would be good. So yeah, you're required to play the Red Eyes Black Dragon here, as well as your optional 3 here. So I added another Red Eyes Black Dragon, Black Dragon's Chick, and then a Gearfried the Iron Knight, since Gearfried here can be used with Slash, so he's not terrible in that sense. Everything else is just very, very lackluster. So I just tried to choose, or pick your poison kind of thing. That's what these optional cards really are. It's just pick your poison, choose the suffering you're most comfortable with. So I try to pick the ones that flowed the best with the deck. They're not awful. It's fine because everyone's like on the same playing field. Like everyone's playing suboptimal lists because they're forced to play pretty crappy optional cards. But yeah, that's the list there. You could probably change this up a bit. I added the extra. The extra deck is 3 Slash and 2 Sky Galloping Gaia. So Sky Galloping Gaia is a Gaia monster and a Dragon monster, and then it searches Spiral Spear Strike on summon. So yeah, so that's an option. I I haven't like tested all of these intensively. This is one that I haven't tested. I just kind of made it because I know it's a good option. So moving on, relinquished. My pride and soul, unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to do too well in this meta. Like, this is as optimal as I could get it. Like, I probably couldn't play the econs because I'm going to have them in my meta decks for sure, in my standard decks. So, yeah, it hurts me to say it, but relinquished is just, it's outdated, overrated, debated. Yeah, it can't keep up with all, like, even, like, especially if Amazonas is going to see it, or be as prevalent as it is, like, I'm not going to be able to see Djinn every, like, all 7 rounds. So, like, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's an option. I'm going to test it some more, but I don't see it doing it. There are definitely better choices for sure. So this is Odion Amazonas. You have the required 3 embodiment, which sucks. So you're just playing shitty Amazonas with 3 embodiment, but at the end of the day, Amazonas in this meta is still, Onslaught is still a really strong card. And then you have the choice of optional cards between Mystical Beast Circuit, Temple of the Kings, which are garbage, and then Magic Jammer or Judgment of Anubis. Judgment of Anubis is cool. So when a spell card would activate that would destroy a spell or trap you control, you can negate it, and then destroy a monster your opponent controls and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack. I just think it's a little bit too situational as compared to Magic Jammer, which is just negate any spell at the cost of a discard. I cut it off here. So that's the second Onslaught in the bottom left there. So I like this list. I like the 1 Sage because this is a slightly more spell trap heavy format. So I like the 1 Sage for options to start poking through. But yeah, this is a pretty standard Amazonas lineup with just the required cards for Odion thrown in, and then Endless Trap Hell is your skill. You could argue for Chain Reaction, but I'd rather just have a constant fuel for my traps. I'd rather just be able to flow through them and then just add 1 back and return the rest of the deck. Ancient Gears, good old Ancient Gears. This is what I played back in February, January. I made a guide on it. I love this deck. However, the optional cards that you're required to play make it much less optimal. So you have to play the 1 Workshop and the 1 Engineer. You have to play 2. Yeah, so 2 optional cards here. And then your 1 required Ancient Gear Golem, and then, or no, is it? No, it's 3 required cards. So I'm playing the 1 optional Golem, and then the 1 required one, and then the 1 optional, the 1 Engineer, and the 1 Workshop. So Factory and Fist are pretty garbage. These are like the best ones in quotes. They're still terrible, but yeah. So outside of these 2, it's pretty standard. I had to replace 2 back row with the 2 optional cards. So 3 Electro, 3 Knight. I like Electro, and like, he's been outdated recently. Like, actually not recently, like the past few months. Like, Electro went from like being in every control deck to just falling off the face of the earth. But in this format, I think will be good, forcing back row like Onslaught and stuff, so you know where it is. I don't know. You could argue for Cyclones in this deck. But yeah, I just try to put in generic traps like Wall Disruption and Canada, and then I like Widespread and Super Rush because this deck has a pretty crappy Amazonas matchup, especially since the Ancient Gears stop your opponent from activating cards during the damage step, but not effects. Or when they attack, your opponent can't activate cards, but they can activate effects. So if they have a face-up Onslaught, you're kind of boned in that sense. So here, Bakra Archfiends. I just thought of this last. I think I saw it somewhere. I thought of it last second. So you're required the 2 Dark Necrophere, and then you have to required to pick 2 from the list of all of these garbage cards. Like Maneater Bug is the best one, and then Goblin Zombie does nothing in the deck. Master of Puppets is kind of cool. It's like if it's tribute summon, you can pay 2k and special summon 2 Fiends from the grave. But I just found that was just going to be too situational. So I mean, I guess I added the Gross Ghost. Majority of the time, it's just an 1800 defense, but like you could just hold it in your hand for discards and stuff. I guess you could argue for Master of Puppets in that case. If you're just going to hold it to discard, I'd rather just have Master of Puppets for the optional play. And then Fiend Farewell is your skill here. So yeah, your Doom Dogs can search any of your level 8s, Dark Necrophere, Eris, Emperor, and then on your following turn, you just send another Fiend. The 1 Chaos Hunter there is cool because Amazonas, like I said, I really expect it to be a thing in this format. So just having the 1 Chaos Hunter is cool. You could argue bumping it up to 2, but I'm also not sure about this the trap lineup. You might want some Needle Bugs in there just to get your engine turboing because there's a good bit of ways you can brick in the deck. Not too many, like multiple Necrofear would suck. Like yeah, multiple Necrofear with multiple traps would suck, but like Eris sucks too. So you want to see your Emperor and your Doom Dogs here. But yeah, you might want some Graveyard Turbo in the deck somewhere. I made this last minute. This is definitely not optimal, but it's just like an option, just showing you guys how you would attempt to go about building a Baccarat deck. And then last but not least, for my considered decks to play, Silent Dark Magician. I like this build. I just don't know how well it would do in the format. Like, of course, Dark Magic Attack is fantastic. But yeah, you require the one Dark Magician, and then I added another one on top of that. And I don't like three. Three bricks too much. And then your optional Thousand Knives, Dark Magic Attack, Illusion Magic, Dark Magic Curtain, and Slifer. I don't know why they put Slifer in there, just for wow factor. I'm sure somebody's going to try something there. Just, I don't know. It's just, you're required to play 3 optional cards, so like, you'd have to play Slifer and then Dark Magician support, so just, Slifer's just garbage. I mean, the deck plays the Dark Magic Curtain, the Dark Magic Attack, and the Thousand Knives anyway, so like, this was really easy to build. I just took my previous build and added it here. No Tretches, no Econs, because like I said, those are my meta decks. I'd rather secure the meta win, and then because it's so hard to predict what's gonna happen. Like, I just want to pick the strongest overall legendary deck that has like a really good matchup against the majority of things. Of course, there's gonna be some crazy stacks that happen. I'm not gonna know what to play, exactly how to play around everything. It's just like, this is going to be such a gimmicky format. I just want to be able to play to the best of my ability. Super Rush is here. Like, Amazonas is a shitty matchup, so... And like I keep reiterating, I think it's going to be a really prevalent deck, since it's just... Since you have the option of playing, like, For Hire and Heroes, and then Amazonas as your legendary deck, like, that just sounds like a really, really killer combo to me. So yeah, so the Cyclone's there. Dark Magic Attack deals with it well, and the Super Rush is for Queen and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's a really good overall build. I didn't change it much from my actual video that I made on this. But yeah, guys, that's it there. I'm going to have some trouble deciding on the legendary deck, but I think I'm pretty set on what my standard decks are going to be here. I really like this Jinzo idea. I really want to test this more, see what I can get going there. Wish I had a third Psychic Shockwave. I didn't get it from that event, and I don't have a ticket to get it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. That's kind of just like my thought process on the whole event there. I hope you guys enjoy the MCS Championship. If you decide to tune in, there'll be some really cool duels going on, especially this legendary meta. Will be some crazy, interesting stuff. I'm sure I didn't cover nearly everything that's going to be theorized and tested and messed around with, but hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you around.